We're ready.
Welcome back to another Girl Like Me food review. I'm here, not outside my local Trader Joe's, but instead in a little bit of a different place. And I just got done eating a lot of food that I'm going to tell you all about. Before I started eating, my Grangle took me to Trader Joe's. And there, I picked up some items. I can't show you all of them because we brought home 5 big bags full. But I'll show you a few things that we did. We started out with a cheese board, and on it were these fig and olive crisp. And you can see one here. Looks pretty good. These were served with this cheese, which is called Rutland Red. It's a Leicester cheese, English cheese. It's very good. It's sweet. It's not as sharp as like a cheddar. It's softer. It's a hard cheese, but not as hard as like a Parmesan. It's good. I've eaten a ton of cheese in the last like half hour, so don't think I can eat it anymore, but it's a nice hard cheese, goes really well. It's very sweet, but with like a little bit of sort of the fermenty sharpness. It's really good. I don't like it quite as much though as the one that's next to it. This is one of my favorite cheeses and one I get pretty much every time I go to Trader Joe's. This is the Délice de Bourgogne, and it is Délice de Bourgogne is like a brie style, I suppose. But it's I don't know how to describe it. It's just got this like funky, rich, like creaminess to it. It's better than any brie I've ever had. Brie sometimes can be really creamy, but really sort of mild and almost like not with a lot of flavor. This is like a funky, heavy brie. And it's got like a nice sort of firm top, and then this stuff in the middle, you can just sort of, reach in here and just sort of pull it out. And it's really tasty. We had it tonight with, besides the fig and olive crisp, we had some little apple slices, but we also had 2 little jams to go with it, or preserves. This here is quince jelly. Quince jelly. Not really sure exactly what a quince is, but it seems to be something between a lemon and a pear, or maybe something of that sort. It's very tasty, but not quite as tasty as this one here. This is rose preserves. Rose preserves. So what I like to do, I like to take a little bit of these rose preserves and get a little on there and sort of spread it on my thing. And I like to take a bit more, and watch this trick. I dump it straight in my water, stir it up. Needs a little bit more water now. And what we do, we just sort of pour the rest in there, and it makes for well, I'll need a little bit more water. But what's fun is that the preserves will actually dissolve in, and floating in your water will be little translucent rose petals. So when you get to the bottom, you can sort of get them in your mouth and go and sort of choke them. But anyway, so I'm going to try this. This has got the rose jelly and the Délice de Bourgogne on a fig and olive crisp. That is so complex and rich. Without the jelly, the first thing you get is the sweetness from the fig, and then it just gets overpowered with that funky fermented soft cheese. But you got to be careful with the rose jelly or the rose preserves, because they can sort of overwhelm it. But it's just such a wonderful combination of like fruity sweet with like funky nasty fermentation with this like floral blossoming sweet. It's really tasty. And that, adding that rose, you could do it with any flour that you like the flavor of, but I think the rose is just perfect. Adds just like that little bit of luxury to your water and to your life, which I know you all need. And then for dinner, my Grangle, there's not much of it left, but my Grangle made these. It was from Trader Joe's as well. It's this Gigli pasta, Gigli, and we had it with some just basic tomato basil sauce. and 2 different kinds of Parmesans, a 10-month normal Parmesan and a Parmigiano Reggiano. And it made in this wonderful little pasta sauce. Very simple, very satisfying. And over it, we cracked a bunch of this South American smoke seasoning blend. I've never had this before, but it's a nice variety, or sorry, a nice alternative to just black pepper. It's got a real smoky flavor that sort of sits in the back of your throat, but seems to blend well with a lot of different things. If you can go with a tomato sauce like this, I'm sure it would be great with meats or, you know, whatever you want to add it to a marinade or something. Anyway, so those are all the treats I think I've got for just now, but I'm very full and I'm gonna go take a nap now.
Have you abandoned the numerical rating system?
Well, there's so many different things to rate this time. I suppose I'll just rate a few of them. These Big and All'em crisps by themselves, I'd give these an 8. Those are really, really good. I've tried a bunch of different crackers from Trader Joe's to go with cheeses. I think these are the best ones. They're very good, very tasty. The cheeses, what is it? Rutland Red. I give it a 6. It's not really like my thing, but my cameramen seem to like it, and they're a big fan of like Parmesan and really hard edged cheeses. I like a soft, like buttery, melty, funky cheese, and as far as those goes, the Lista Bourgogne is a 10, absolutely a 10. It's the best one I found, at least at Trader Joe's. The quince jelly, I'd give it a 6. Maybe I'll give it a 5. It's good. It seems really well made. The consistency of it's kind of thin, but it was good. It went really well with these apple slices. The rose jelly, I give that an 8. It can be a little overpowering on some things, but if you add it to like just a small little bit of it to some cheese, or like I said, put it in your water, it adds like a tremendous luxury. And then this pasta, all the elements together, I'm not sure how I'd rate them. Probably kind of average, each of the elements. I mean, the pasta it's pasta, right? Like the shape was kind of fun, but the flavor wasn't, it's pasta. It just tastes like flour, right? It's not particularly flavorful, but it was good. The sauce, kind of like a nice basil-y tomato sauce, but nothing really particularly special. This stuff, by itself, kind of average, but good. But you add them all together the way my Grangle did. And I'd just have to say it was a wonderful meal that I'd rate a 9 or a 10 maybe. It was very satisfying for a really good girl who's been very well behaved lately. And now she'll be put to bed, sort of plump and happy, and she'll close her eyes and she'll go off and dream of more wonderful foods that she can eat and share with you that are just right for a girl like me.